Strongest Jake here with my review of the Dart Zone Apex. This is a rival revolver that's been out for a little bit now. The other bigger reviewers here on YouTube have gotten their videos out before me, but I picked this up a few weeks ago and have been testing it out and absolutely loving it, to spoil the review. And while the review is spoiled as far as my final opinion, I'm going to tell you why I came to that conclusion. Now, what it is a rival firing. Of course, by that I mean that it fires the rounds, whether they be the tactical rounds from Dart Zone themselves or Nerf or other brands. The revolving cylinder is a front-loaded feature. It has 5 barrels, so technically holds 5, although there is a catch to that. And then it has a top prime, and simply pull the trigger. Yeah, my dart catcher doesn't catch these very well. They will go flying. But I said there's a catch to that 5-round capacity. It's very simple. As I reach it back over into here, you can take 2, drop them down, and press in. And yes, it will shotgun effect that. Cuts the performance quite a bit, but it will do that completely stock with 0 modifications. You don't have to double load it or anything. It's a basic revolver. You front load it. Now, a couple of things that I'm going to get to. Touching on the performance first. On my chronograph, I actually got an average of about 87.2 feet per second with this. And that was with using headshot, Nerf rival, and the included tactical strike rounds. Didn't matter. It did seem to have a little more consistency with its own tactical strike rounds, which some people have noted they're a slight bit larger in diameter, and that may be the reason why. A little bit better seal to the actual cylinder, but all of them averaged right in the upper 80s for about an overall of 87.2 in my most recent chronograph session. Now, that's a little bit under your typical rival performance, being about 90 to 100. Now, is that an issue? No, not really. It's not enough under for me to call it a negative. If it was like 80 or in the 70s, yes, that would be a definite detractor to it. But as is, that's not a big deal. 87.2 compared to 90, not a problem. Particularly when you consider this is only a $10 blaster. And it is very quick and easy to reload. And by noting that, let's go ahead and fire off a few shots, and then I'll reload it. Okay. Got it empty. Let me just do a full reload here in front of you. And one more. Very simple. Now, when reloading this, I'm going to note one thing that I have seen cause a couple of misfires. You must push these rounds all the way back. Now, the barrels are translucent, so if you come in close, you can actually see the rounds right here to the very back of the barrels. They're actually in there. If you don't push them all the way in, they won't hit and activate the air restrictor, and you'll end up with a misfire. I had one here and there pop up, and that is actually user error. They could get around that maybe by not doing an air restrictor. But they're going to always companies will always put air restrictors in order to prevent damage to the blaster. Because then you'd have more customer complaints than probably is worth the headache. But as it is, I have very little flaws. One thing is Dart Zone has been doing a very weird safety. You cannot pull the trigger without depressing what looks like a rev trigger here. It's not a rev trigger, it's just simply a safety lock. Now I can pull the trigger. Fire it by depressing that first, and then pulling the trigger. Simple. Simple operation, and while that might seem kind of tedious, you depress it naturally when you wrap your hand around the grip. So I don't consider it to be a flaw in design or anything, actually. And these things are only $10. Compared to the Chronos, which only holds 5 as well, Chronos gets a little bit better performance, and without modifying it, to load a Chronos, you must have it prime back, flip open the hatch and put 5 rounds in, and then close and fire. This is probably a little bit easier overall because you can stuff the rounds down in even while it's primed. You can actually go and stuff a round down in an empty barrel. You know, that's going to be personal preference. Now, of course, everybody knows you can take the hatch off of the Chronos, and you can also put on a aftermarket 3D printed hatch with a hole in it so you can load in through it directly. Now, those are mod parts, and that's something for you to decide whether you prefer the front load revolving style, or do you prefer the internal magazine of, say, like a Chronos or the Takedown. Personal preference there, by far. However, I do think this is a definite valid pistol to add to your arsenal if you are a rival user. I think by a couple of quick little mods, upgraded spring, and an air restrictor removal, I think the performance of this is going to skyrocket. So that'll be something I actually picked up 2 with my own money, and I have one here to test in stock form, and then one I'm going to mod with just those basic mods. I'm going to recommend probably doing a seal improvement here at the back of the cylinder to the blaster, a spring upgrade, and then definitely knock out those air restrictors, because that's probably the #1 thing I could do and gain a little bit of more reliable firing. But this is my review of the Dart Zone Apex. That is, I think, a 100% a worthy addition to the realm of rival firing blasters. It's got already decent stock performance. At 87.2 on my example here, that's reasonably close enough to 90 for me to consider that right on par. And with 5-round revolving capacity that you can, even unmodded in stock form, just take 2 rounds, shove them in, and then shotgun it. That's pretty nice. And again, front loaded, easy to do, just shove them in. There we go. Easy. I love revolvers. They're functionally nice looking, and again, being able to reload on the fly right from the front, I can't say it enough. It's an easy design to get used to. But this is the Dart Zone Apex, a rival revolver done right. Just my opinion. But if you enjoyed this, check out your local Dollar General. That's where I picked mine up at, and that's where I would recommend checking to find yours. I will try to find a link and put it down in the description of the video if I can. However, if you liked it, just go check your local Dollar General and see if you can't pick one up for about $10. That's what I got it with, and it came with 8 of the Tactical Strike rounds, which are really up there as one of my favorites, compared to Nerf's Rival rounds and the Headshot and NF Strike ammunition I've been using. So, for $10, I can 100% give this thing a thumbs up. But Smuggler's Jake saying thank you for watching, hope you enjoyed it.